Browns coach Kevin Stefanski will not be in the building. This was news that came out of the blue, and this is part of the reality of pro football in a pandemic. You never know when that tweet, when that email, when that press release, when that video conference is going to pop up saying a key player or a key coach is unavailable due to testing positive for COVID-19. That's what happened with the Browns. Coach Kevin Stefanski and 2 assistants are positive and will not be available on Sunday night. Also, 2 players, guard Joel Bitonio and receiver Kaderil Hodge, tested positive for COVID-19. And look, they continue to take the position there's no outbreak in Cleveland, that this is all the result of community spread. That's a hell of a lot of community spread, Charean, if it's not an outbreak.
Absolutely, Mike. It almost seems to me like the Ravens situation. I know they contact trace these things so they know where the virus came from and they know it's out of the community and not within player to player. I get all that. But they have had such a high number now of players who have tested positive and coaches who have tested positive within the Browns organization. It feels so much like what the Ravens went through a few weeks ago.
And here's the thing to keep in mind. On Sunday, when the tweets started to come out, I think Shefty had a tweet that all games were good to go. I checked with the league on Browns Steelers, and I was told, no, Browns Steelers were still doing Cleveland testing, and so far it looks good, but that one hasn't gotten the full green light yet. And it shows that there was a reason for the heightened concern. Because if... And this is the combination of donut holes we've talked about all year long. One that relates to the incubation period, and the other that relates to the delay between sample collection and the obtaining of the result when you do the off-site PCR test. You combine those 2 things, you have occasions where guys are in the facility shedding virus, and you don't find out for 3 to 5 to 7 days, sometimes 10 days, that someone has caught it. So that's always going to be there. That chain reaction is always going to be potentially present, and that feels like it's what's happening with the Browns. That Kevin Stefanski most likely didn't get it going home or going to McDonald's or going to get gasoline or going to the grocery store. He got it at work from somebody who was there, who found out early the next morning that they had tested positive from the sample the prior day, and they were in the building all day shedding virus. It feels like that's the case. Now, they've yet to say that's what's happening. They're doing contact tracing and genomic testing and all of this stuff. But there's just a point where common sense suggests that this isn't a simple case of guys leaving the building and somehow catching COVID-19 and bringing it back and being intercepted before they could give it to someone else.
Yeah, no question about it, Mike. And the league said all along, even in the postseason, they weren't going to change schedules for competitive reasons, medical reasons only. And I don't know what point this gets to be a medical reason, but the Browns certainly have a more difficult task now than they did before this game. It was going to be a big task anyway, but now it's going to be an even bigger task with the players and the coaches that they're going to be without, including their play caller, Kevin Stefanski, and now that's going to fall to Alex Van Pelt. So a lot of things have changed in the last few days for the Browns, and this continues to be ongoing, and I'm sure the NFL and it almost seems like this is almost to a crisis point where at what point do you start thinking about we're not going to have enough players, we're not going to have enough coaches? But we saw with the Lions, almost their entire coaching staff was out for the one game they played anyway. The Broncos didn't have a quarterback. They played anyway. They're going to continue to play. They're going to do everything they possibly can to get this game in, Mike. No matter who the Browns have available, they're going to say, go out there and play.
As long as the league believes there isn't an ongoing, uncontained outbreak among the Browns, the game will proceed. I don't know what the minimum number of players available is, but I believe the number is far closer to all but 11 than 69. The full complement is 69, 53 on the roster, and 16 practice squad players. That breaking point, because they're going to say next man up, next man up, next man up, next man up, and I don't know how few they would have to have before the league says we just can't do this. Same thing with coaches. I don't know how few they'd have to have. I think at some point, Jimmy Haslam gets to realize the Jerry Jones dream and coach his own team if it comes to it. I don't think it comes to that, but they're going to want this game to go forward. They're not going to want to delay it. You can't delay it. You can delay it to Monday at the latest if you guarantee that the winner plays the following Sunday in the divisional round. You can't delay it to Tuesday. You can't put the postseason on hold. Well, I guess you can. You can. That's your only alternative, is put all the other games on hold while you get Cleveland-Pittsburgh in. And then that next weekend after Cleveland and Pittsburgh finally play, assuming they at least get 5 or 6 days in between, that's when you play the next round of games. That's what they would have to do. I mean, another thing you could do, frankly, you could, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but let's say that you play Pittsburgh on Tuesday, Pittsburgh-Cleveland on Tuesday. Let's say they move the division game involving the winner of that game to Monday. And then let's say that the following weekend, instead of back-to-back conference championship games on Sunday, you do one Sunday night and one Monday night. This may be another situation where they kind of discover plutonium by accident as it relates to better broadcasting windows, because that would have to at least be a possibility. If I'm the NFL, I'm saying, okay, game Tuesday night, play the division round game the following Monday night. Hey, Monday night primetime, hell of a rating. And then the following Monday night would be the conference championship game involving the winner of that game on the Monday night that would be played with the winner of the Pittsburgh-Cleveland game. I'm just spitting that out there, but I wouldn't have a problem with that. I wouldn't have a problem with Sunday night and Monday night conference championship. I wouldn't have a problem with 3 weekend division round games and a Monday night division round game. I'm surprised they haven't done something like that already.
Yeah. Oh, I am too, Mike, and I'm surprised on championship weekend it isn't Saturday and Sunday nights. I just think there's so many opportunities there to get these games in prime time, and the more you spread them out,
Monday
to Monday night,
Sunday, Monday.
Yeah, they're absolutely.
That's where the money is.
Balance, but if you move everything Sunday, Monday, you're exactly right. And if you do that going forward, you're exactly right. You figure out plutonium, the ratings go through the roof, and. Can you imagine, though, Mike, if this game gets changed? Pittsburgh now on the other end of it yet again. We saw that with the Ravens, and they lost their bye week, and they lost their mini bye, and everything got backed up. And can you imagine Pittsburgh's reaction to this if something like that happens? It would be unbelievable.
I'd like to think that this time around the reaction will be far different, because I would like to think they'll take a step back and say, we're not as good as we were back when we complained about having the ball moved around on us as to when we're going to play. We should welcome the fact that the Browns are short-staffed and that the Browns are distracted and that the Browns won't have their head coach. Because, look, they're not going to have Kevin Stefanski even if they move the game to Tuesday. It's a 10-day mandatory waiting period. This is just a question of a short delay. If guys end up on the COVID-19 reserve list as being close contacts with some of these individuals and guys just aren't available and they want to give it a little more time. But I don't think it comes to that. I think they're going to say this game gets played Sunday night, because one of the concerns about delaying games is there's no guarantee the game is ultimately going to get played on the later date. That's another concern that has permeated the season. So that's where we are. And as you mentioned, Alex Van Pelt, who once played quarterback at Pitt, will be the Browns play caller. He did that some in training camp, so it's not brand new for him. And Mike Prefer, the former Vikings special teams coordinator, now the coordinator in Cleveland, will be the head coach for the game.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.